Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Someone want to unmute themselves and respond?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of God and Narayan, and to Narayan, which is the supremest human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to the author, Srila Vyasadeva. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from the second canto, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. And we are reading from the 10th chapter, which is the last chapter of this canto, entitled Bhagavatam is Answer to All Questions. And we are on text 34. Yesterday, Yogeshwar Prabhu gave class, and that's where we are at. Yeah. So I'm going to say one word at a time in Sanskrit. Ata, someone can unmute themselves. Ata, param, suksmatamam, avyaktam, nirvishesanam, anadi, madhya, nidanam, nityam, vak, manasa, param, ata param suksmatamam.
Cannot do it. Don't have the verse up. I'm sorry, Malini.
Someone else can do it. Ata param suksmatamam. I can look for it. I can look for it and share it with everyone.
Okay.
Okay. It is. Let's your chat.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So now we have the verse on here. So, Ata param suksmatamam.
Ata param sukshmatamam.
Avyaktam nirvishesanam.
Avagyaktam nirvishanam.
Anadi madhya nidanam.
Anadim Madhya Nityanam
Nityam Van Manasa Param.
Nityam Van Manasa Param
Ataparam Shuksmatamam.
Ataparam Sukshmatamam
Avyaktam Nirvishesanam.
Avyaktam Nirviseshanam
Anadimadya Nidanam.
Anadimad Anadimadya Nidhanam
Nityam Van Manasa Param.
Nityan Van Manasaya Param
Ataparam Shukshmatamam.
Ataparam Sakshmatamam
Avyaktam Nirvishesanam.
Avyaktam Nirviseshanam
Anadimadya Nidanam.
Anadimadya Nidyanam
Nityam Van Manasa Param.
Nityam Nam Van Manas Param.
Someone would like to chant? Okay, so we can go to the word for word. Ata. Someone want to respond?
Yeah. Ata,
Therefore.
therefore.
Param.
Param,
Transcendental.
transcendental.
Shuksmatamam.
Suksmatamam,
Finer than the finest.
finer than the finest.
Avyaktam.
Avyaktam,
Unmanifested.
unmanifested.
Nirvisheshanam.
Nirviseshanam,
Without material features.
without material features.
Anadi.
Anadi,
Without beginning.
without beginning.
Madhya.
Madhya,
Without an intermediate stage.
without a, what's that beginning? What's that middle word? Without an intermediate stage. Okay.
Nidanam.
Nidanam,
Without end.
without end.
Nityam.
Nityam,
Eternal.
eternal.
Vak.
Vak,
Words.
words.
Manasa.
Manasa,
Of the mind.
of the mind.
Param.
Param,
Transcendental.
transcendental.
Therefore, this gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Therefore, it is beyond the limit of expression or mental speculation and is distinct from the material conception. The gross external body of the Supreme is manifested at certain intervals, and thus the external feature or form of the Supreme Personality Godhead is not the eternal form of the Lord, which has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Anything which has a beginning, interim, and end is called material. This material world is begun from the Lord, and thus the form of the Lord before the beginning of the material world is certainly transcendental to the finest or the finer material conception. The ether in the material world is considered to be the finest. Finer than the ether is mind, intelligence, and false ego. But all 8 of the outward covering are explained as outer covering of the absolute truth. The absolute truth is therefore beyond the expression and speculation of the material conception. It is certainly transcendental to all material conception. This is called nirvisheshanam. One should not, however, misunderstand nirvisheshanam as being without any transcendental qualification. Visheshanam means qualities. Therefore, nir, added to it, mean that he has no material qualities or variegatedness. This nullifying expression is described in 4 transcendental qualifications, namely unmanifested, transcendental, eternal, and beyond the conception of mind or words. Beyond the limits of words means negation of the material conception. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to know the transcendental form of the Lord. Om Gyana Timerandasya Gyana Jala Shalakaya Shakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Putali Swayam Upakadamayam Tadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sargajatam Sargana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitash Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sargana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vintam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Adakanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvasishya Shunyavadi Paskacharya Jatarini Mukhankut Orati Chalam Pango Blankayati Gridrim Yad Krita Krishna Yad Krita Tamam Vande Sagurum Des Atarini. Hare Krishna. I'm going to read the verse again. Therefore, beyond this gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end, and therefore it is beyond the limit of expression or mental speculation, and is distinct from the material conception. So, Hare Krishna. So Sukadeva Goswami is going into details in this canto really, and in the 3rd canto we dive into more deeply about the cosmic manifestation. That's the name of the canto. The 2nd canto is cosmic manifestation, and specifically, interestingly, like Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to a question, and why is it like the answer to all questions. And here in this section, we really understand that an intelligent man, and that's so well described, like in a verse 32, an intelligent man is going to ask question. An intelligent man is going to ask question about, first, why am I suffering? Why am I here? What am I doing here? And then an intelligent man will continue like, okay, all those things around me, where are they coming from? How they are created? How they come together to create what's around me? How they come together to create who I am? How come I am the way I am? Other people are different. So all those questions are an indication of intelligence. And that power of intelligence is described again and again. And through intelligence, we are going to seek knowledge. And Prabhupada often describes that any knowledge that relates to the animal propensity, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it's not much of a knowledge in reality. Like, we don't really need to have education about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The animals, they don't have any education. They know where to find their food. They know how to eat their food. They know how to find a mate. They know how to interact with the mate in such a way to have sexual intercourse and then procreate. And same thing with sleeping, same thing with defending. So most of education, most of things that go in the name of knowledge is usually around those propensities that really, in fact, don't need much education. And real education is spiritual education, because the purpose of this material creation, as we have been hearing already for 34 verses here in this chapter, the purpose of this creation, the purpose of all the really so sophisticated system of creation, and the beauty of it too, from the pradhan, which is eternal unmanifested energy of the Lord, and it's called is external energy of the Lord that manifests into the Mahatattva, which is become the causal ocean where Mahavishnu lies. Mahavishnu lies on that, and then from his pore, universes are coming out, and all that is so precisely described in the Vedas. And we are very, very fortunate that even so we are living in Kali Yuga, we get access to those very precise description of creation coming down directly from the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, giving it in disciplic succession, starting with Lord Brahma. And then those universes float first for 1,000 years. We don't think like 1,000 years, human years. It's 1,000 years. It's an eternal time, which is difficult for my mind to conceive what eternal time means. And then the Lord decided to enter each of the universe, and the universe at first they are completely black. And the Lord entered in his form as Garbhodaka Vishnu, and laying on the Garbhodak ocean. And when he's on that Garbhodak ocean, then those elements from the Mahatattva that were already there, then they become more manifested, and more precisely manifested in the form of the ears and the nose and the mind, and even the action and reaction are manifested. The whole system is kind of like really taking form. And then in the third canto, we look at the secondary creation, where Brahma, where is Brahma taking place, and how from those manifestation, more and more manifested from unmanifested external energy of the Lord to more and more manifestation to creating bodies of trees, bodies of grass, bodies of animals, body of Marilashin, and body of Shamapriya, body of Damayanti, and all those bodies that how are they created? And that's a secondary creation of really Lord Brahma. through his descendants and through the Prajapati. So even there, Brahma is not at the origin of all that. There is, again, a system, and it's so well orchestrated and organized. So I know some of us in this gathering are very organized. So it's quality of Krishna. Krishna is very organized. And Krishna, in this verse precisely, we understand that we don't want to be confused by all that have been described until now, thinking that Krishna is material, because we are looking at, okay, from his desire, then all the elements manifested. From his desire, when he desires to see, then the sun is manifested, and the eyeball are manifested, and the ability to see are manifested. When he wants to test, then tests happen, and Varuna, the demigod of test, and then the tongue is manifested. So we see that, and in this verse here we understand that we don't want to confuse that the Lord can always test, the Lord can always see, the Lord is completely aloof from the material cosmic manifestation. However, to his energy, to his external energy, he creates through the agency of his different expansion in Mahapurush, like all the Purushas, avatars, the Vishnus. And that he is, and that's really interesting, because that's the only place I know where the Lord is described with a material body. It said at the beginning of the purport that the gross external body of the Supreme is manifested at a certain interval, and thus the external feature of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not the eternal form of the Lord. So the Lord, when he accepts the Virat Rupa, the universal form, we understand that that form is not an eternal form. And that form is not, because it's not eternal, because it has a beginning, it has an intermediate stage and an end stage, we understand it's a material form. So the Lord does accept a material form, and that's the only place he does. However, it is completely aloof from it, and he doesn't identify with it, which makes him very different than his infinitesimal part and parcel of the Lord, those part and parcels that can be covered by an external energy of the Lord, who through false ego manifest the whole creative, the creation. Earlier in the same canto, it says that the mode of material nature are products of the false ego. So the mode of material nature are product of our false ego. What is that false ego? False identification with matter. Like, what's that false identification? Is to think that we are Purusha. And Purusha means enjoyer. So like Prabhupada said, when we get that there is only one Purusha, then we can free ourselves from false ego, from the knot of false ego. And I know very well how that knot feels, isn't it? When we act out of false identification, there is such that knot inside the heart, that knot inside the gut, the whole system feel under attack. And of course, understanding when we act out of false identification, out of false, out of false ego, we have a choice. We have choices. Do I want to protect my false ego? Do I want to take a stand for my false ego? Or do I want to remember that my real identity, my real identity is to be a servant of Krishna, is to serve Krishna with love and devotion as a servant. And because we are Prakriti, we are not Purushas. And as long as we want to become Purushas, and we, in a sense, as long as we want to enjoy material nature, we are Purushas. And as long as we desire that, then we are going to create a lot of suffering. We are going to be always in interaction with the mode of material nature. and those modes of material nature with the friction of this mode of material nature, we are going to create so much suffering for ourselves, suffering that doesn't really need to be there. So, and so the Lord, in a sense, he has the right in this purpose, he has the right to not be manifested. So he's covering energy of the purpose to fulfill the desire of the living entities to be the enjoyer, and also to fulfill the desire of the living entities to forget about the Lord. Even so, everything is all pervading, everything is the Lord. We are never separated. Our soul is always in connection with the Lord. But through our identification with matter, we forget that. We just forget that we are connected with the Lord. And then through his agency of Maya, then we believe some things that we are not. And by believing some things that we are not, we forget about the Lord. So that he uses his own energy, his own potency to make us forget about him. Why? Because we want to, and he's fulfilling our desire. So, so the Lord is transcendentally situated, and in this purport and verse, he said that, okay, we have seen, like, I want to read the last 3 verses because it really lead to this verse. It says, the sense organs are attached to the mode of material nature. So the sense organ, which is what we identified with, they are attached to the mode of material nature. The mode of material nature are product of the false ego. So they are product of the false ego. As long as we act from a place of false identification, thinking that we are someone we are not, holding to the perspectives that we are Purusha, then we are created a mode of material nature and different entanglement with them. The mind is subjective to all kinds of material experience, happiness and distress. And the intelligence is a feature of the mind, of the mind's deliberation. So really what creates our suffering is really the mind. The mind, like material nature is there, of course, with action and reaction, but happiness and distress are coming from the mind. They are not coming from Krishna. They are not coming from anything but our own desire to be unhappy, really. Srila Prabhupada said we enjoy suffering. So our own desire to be unhappy. So next 33. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms, such as the planets, which were explained to you by me. So, and then we come to our verse. Therefore, beyond this growth is a transcendental manifestation, finer than the finest form. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada wants us to understand that, yeah, we may, like the mystic, for example, the mystics, they're connecting more with the ethereal, like the more we are engrossed in material consciousness, the more like we are earthian, and mixing with the 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, and then earth, water, fire, right now, air, and then ether. Ether is of the gross element. Ether is a finer. Like many things is happening in that finer element, and I know some of us we may connect it with that ethereal existence, because there is an existence in ether. Most of us, we are not connected there, and some of us may be connected there. Still, it's a gross material element. And then there is a subtle material elements, which are the mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the more subtle material element, they are still material element, and they have more power to kind of help us make the transition between our identification with matter and coming to our real identification, which is to be enjoyed, to be prakriti, to be enjoyed by the Lord. The Lord is a supreme enjoyer. Everything that we see, everything that exists, everything that is a product of enjoyment. Everything is a product of enjoyment. And whose enjoyment? Krishna's enjoyment. So Krishna is a supreme enjoyer, and is in own planet, Goloka Vrindavan. And in his whole planet and all the Vaikuntha planet, everything is illuminated by his own glare, the glare of his body and the glare of his emanation too, because we also have a glare as part and parcel of Krishna. We also shine. We shine very brightly, that we don't need the sun or the moon or the star. But the material cosmos is dark, it's completely dark. And because of that, it does need the sun. And the sunlight is diffusing all over the universe. And from the sunlight, then the moon shine and the stars shine. And the sunlight is diffusing everywhere. So similarly, Krishna's light is diffusing all over the spiritual sky and beyond the spiritual sky into the material sky. And all light emanates from Krishna's light. And Krishna is not involved in that. And it is described that the Mahatattva is described by personal. Why? Because it's a transformation of that light. It's a transformation of the Brahma Jyoti. And in the Brahma Samhita, there is deeper explanation of that. So here, Srila Prabhupada says the quality of Krishna, the quality of the spiritual world is finer than the finest material element. So as we go further in the purport, Srila Prabhupada wants us to really get a sense that we are not going to control the Lord or understand the Lord or get in touch with the Lord by the effort of even of the finest part, the most subtle part of ourselves, which is our mind, our intelligence. We are not going to be able to reach the Lord by anything material. We are not going to reach the Lord by our senses, our working senses, knowledge accumulated senses. We are not going to be in contact with the Lord, even by our mind, even if we speculate for thousands and thousands of years, we are not going to come even to the toes of the Lord. And even our intelligence, our discrimination, as long as the intelligence is disconnected from super soul, it's the same. We are not going to be able to contact with the Lord. So like in this purpose, Srila Prabhupada really make it clear that give up those endeavors to understand with material senses and with the material mind, and plug into the spiritual energy. And how do we plug into the spiritual energy? By acting according to our constitutional position, which is eternal Jiva Swarup Jiva Swarup Nita Krishna Das, that we are eternally a servant of Krishna. And our real form, Jiva, the form Rupa means form, the form of the Jiva is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. So sadhana bhakti, or the process of bhakti yoga as we practice it, it's helping us to practice acting according to our real position, which is interesting to imagine that we need to be acting according to our real position, that somehow we need help Why is that? And Prabhupada says, because we are nitya baddha. We are eternally conditioned. And he said eternally does just mean that it's hard to retrace the origin of our conditioning. So we have been cycling again and again to birth and death in 8,400,000 species of life, again and again, life, death, different planetary systems, different circumstances, again and again and again. And because we have conditioned ourselves, we are conditioned, isn't it? We are conditioned. I can see like even the conditioning one may have by being born in a certain country, isn't it? Some people are born in a certain country and they are definitely conditioned to certain habits and they don't question them. For them, like I live in America and there's so many assumptions just by being born in America that American people make, just because they are born here and that's how they are being conditioned. And if they were born in Africa, they will have a different conditioning, a different set of belief system that they are not questioning until they come to a place of using it intelligence and then questioning, being, inquisitive, Atato Brahma Vigyasa, the beginning of spiritual life, and not only the beginning, spiritual life, as we know it, is about inquiry about what I believe, what I do every day. Why am I doing them? Really also inquiring into our mind about what we believe and our approach to reality. Is the reality that I'm seeing, is that really the reality? Or is there a different reality? Is there a different perspective? So as we are inquisitive and we do this kind of work of asking questions, constantly asking questions to myself, constantly asking questions and approaching someone who knows, approaching Tadvidi Pranipatina Paripasnena Sevaya, Upadekshanti Tegyanam Ganinas Tadva Darshana, Ganinas Tadva, approaching someone who knows the truth, approaching Ganinas Tadva, someone who has seen the truth, someone who is not entangled. As long as we approach people for our knowledge, approach people, maybe they are connected with the finest of the finest. Maybe they are developed to the most extensive parts that a human being can develop. Still, as long as they are not free from even the finest of the finest mode of material nature, then they are entangled. And we are not going to find the truth from someone who is still under any of the material conditioning. So Tadvini Pranipati, to approach someone, to learn the truth, to be inquisitive and learn the truth from someone who has seen the truth, someone who is not contaminated by the mode of material nature. And that's what's encouraged by the Veda. Again and again, the Veda explained that the only way to know the truth, the only way to know Krishna, and there is no other way to know Krishna, is through loving, intimate, devotional service, to service to the Lord. And how we render service to the Lord? By render service to the spiritual master. Because the Lord is in Vaikuntha, is in Goloka Vrindavan, is enjoying with his eternal associate, is enjoying with all those spirit souls that are liberated. He's not involved with us. He's not. He's like, okay, you wanted to enjoy separated from me. Here, I'm creating what you want. And is that the origin? For sure, is the origin, the cloud of Maya. And from our perspective, we only see the cloud, we don't see the sun. And in order to see the sun, we need to go above the cloud. Like when we fly, it's so nice. Like I remember when I flew out of Frankfurt in 2019, I was flying out of Europe, and Frankfurt it was raining so hard, and it was cold, rainy, and gray. Like it seemed like the grayness was covering the entire sky. the entire horizon, that there was no end to that grayness. And then I boarded the airplane, and the airplane started to go up. And as soon as we were above the cloud, then oh no, that's not true. The grayness was not covering the entire sky. In fact, the sky is completely blue and the sun is shining. So similarly, in order to see the real face of the Lord, Angani Yasyasatara, the Satchitananda form of the Lord, I'm looking at Shyamasundar. In order to really look at the face of Shyamasundar, we need to be above the cloud. We need to be in that airplane. We need to be that, and that airplane is the lotus seat of the spiritual master. That airplane that's going to go and up, and go through the cloud and above the cloud is it's a boat. It's a lotus feet of our spiritual master. And through that airplane, then finally we go above the finest of the material energy, of the material element, and we are capable of seeing the truth. And so this month is a month of Kartik. And during the month of Kartik, we sing a song, Damodarastakam. And I think a week ago, Anandini, she read the pastime of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna with ropes. And we know that pastime where Mother Yashoda, she's in the sun. She sees everything in a proper perspective. And then also, she's also covered by Maya, but that's a different Maya. Our Maya is covering her from like seeing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Mother Yashoda, she thinks, my little boy is there. And she's nursing her little boy. And as she was nursing her little boy, there was some milk boiling. And she put the boy down and she went to take care of the milk, because the milk also is service for her. She's boiling that milk to make yogurt, because Krishna loved yogurt and he loved butter even more. So she's making butter. She has a special milk from different cows that she got. And she's serving Krishna by nursing Krishna, and she put Krishna down to serve Krishna in a different way. And then Krishna, we know, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as a child, you have supreme intelligence and supreme naughtiness and supreme beauty, and everything is supreme about him, even when you play as a child, like an actor. Of course, he's never a child. And at the same time, you're relish being a child. You relish to be the darling of Mother Yashoda. You relish that intimacy between him and his mother. So he decided to be angry. He decided to be angry, really angry. And then he broke the pot of yogurt and distributed it to the monkeys. And then when Mother Yashoda came back, she saw that and she said, I cannot leave my son becoming like a debauchee. I cannot leave my son being so bad that he will become like a person who do naughty things like that. I need to punish him. She felt like my responsibility is to punish Krishna. My responsibility, and as we are thinking, how Krishna is punishing me all the time. And so she took a stick and ran after him, and he was such a fear. He was so much in fear, and he was crying, and all his mascara was going around. And then Satyavata Muni, I think he's the one who wrote that song. He said, maybe his vision always be manifest in my heart. And if, in fact, he doesn't even want to be liberated. He doesn't want to live in Vaikuntha. He doesn't want to know anything. He just wants the pastime of Krishna, what's happening above the cloud. He wants that to be completely always what his mind is absorbing, and not be absorbed with the gray cloud and all that. He doesn't want that. He wants to be completely absorbed. So he's want to think of that pastime with Mother Yashoda binding Krishna with a rope. So Krishna is fearful and crying. And then Mother Yashoda, she decides, it's too much. I don't want my child to be fearful of me. It's not good, because he's too fearful of me, then he's not going to trust me. And I need him to trust me. So she decided, okay, she put the stick down. She said, okay, I'm going to bind him because he still needs to learn. And I want to know that he's not going to do more mischief. So she bind him to a grinding mortar. And then that's how the pastime finished. And it's finished with like, in front of Krishna, there is 2 big trees. And as the pastime continued, Krishna said, okay, she does that to me, and I'm going to show her that I'm smarter than her, and I'm going to do something that's even more mischievous. And he directed himself towards the trees. And as he went between the trees, the mortar kind of went sideways and got cut into the trees. And that's where we can see that Krishna is not an ordinary child. No children will be able to carry a mortar, to a churning mortar for butter because it's too heavy. By nature, it needs to be heavy because the churning happened and the stone need to be very, very heavy. And not only that, he was able to pull the mortar so hard that the 2 gigantic trees, Arjuna tree, fell down on the ground. And then from them, there was 2 beautiful beings that manifested. And of course, in the pastime, it's explained why those 2 beings. And the why is because they were really entangled in the cloud. They were very entangled in being feelings that they were Purushas. In fact, they were the sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. We can imagine how wealthy Kuvera is. It's inconceivable for our mind. And so the 2 sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nala Kuvera, they wanted to enjoy. They wanted to enjoy. So they were naked in a pool. They were intoxicated. They were having sex. They were like with damsel all around them. And they were very, very degraded, like dark, dark clouds. They were putting themselves in a dark cloud when, by virtue of being demigods, that means they were already elevated to the finest of the material energy. They were the finest of the material energy. They were in contact with the finer than any human being can get in contact with. And so in that darkness of degraded life, they had a great fortune because they were pious, because they were demigods, that Narada Muni, the spiritual master of the whole world, Narada Muni came by, and as he was coming by, he saw how degraded they were. They were not even capable of recognizing Narada Muni. The damsel, all the girls, they were naked. Wow, they covered themselves. Oh, sage is passing by. This is very offensive. Let's cover ourselves. But Manigriva and Nala Kuvera, they were so intoxicated, they didn't care. So Narada Muni could see that's urgent. They really need a lot of help. That's urgent. And he cursed them to become trees for 100 of celestial years. So that's 1,000 years of thousands of years on earth. But because they were very pious and because they were directly in contact with the spiritual master, they were also cursed to be trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So now what I would like to read, I'm not going to read that chapter fully because it doesn't really necessarily fit with our class today. However, their prayers, when they got delivered, when they finally saw the light, when they finally got into in contact with the finer than the finest, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who is never entangled in the material energy, who is never under the control of any of his own energy, then they prayed. So I'm going to bring those prayers up, and maybe I can share them with you for you to read, because they realize how fallen they were, and they realize the position of Krishna, and they pray, revealing the position of Krishna as they pray to the Supreme Lord. And they say, "Dear Lord Krishna, you are the original personality of Godhead, master of all mystic powers. Learned Brahmanas know very well that this cosmic manifestation is an expansion of your potencies, which are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifested. So that's very similar to what he said in this purport. Like the covering of the Lord have a beginning and an end, is temporary. You are the original provider of the life, body, and senses of all living entities. You're the eternal God, Lord Vishnu, who is all pervading, the principal controller of everything. You are the original source of the cosmic manifestation, which is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. You are living as a super soul in all the multiforms of living entities. And you know very well what is going on within their bodies and mind. Therefore, you are the supreme director of all activities and of all living entities. But although you are in the midst of everything, which is under the spell of the material modes of nature, you are not affected by such contaminated qualities. No one under the jurisdiction of the material mode can understand your transcendental qualities, which existed before the creation. Therefore, you are called the Supreme Brahman, who is always glorified by his personal internal potencies. In this material world, you can be known only by your different incarnations. Although you assume different types of bodies, these bodies are not part of the material creation. They are always full of transcendental potencies of unlimited opulence, strength, beauty, fame, wisdom, and renunciation. In the material existence, there is a difference between the body and the owner of the body. But because you appear in your original spiritual body, there is no such a difference for you. When you appear, your uncommon activities indicate that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such uncommon activities are not possible for anyone in material existence. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, now appearing to cause the birth and death, as well as liberation of the living entities. And you are full in your plenary expansions. You can bestow on everyone all kinds of benediction. O Lord, O source of all fortune and goodness, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. You are the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of peace and the Supreme Person in the dynasty of King Yadu. O Lord, our Father known as Kuvera, the demigod, is your eternal servant. Similarly, the great Sage Narada is also your servitor, and by their grace only, we have been able to see you personally. We therefore pray that we may always be engaged in your transcendental loving service by speaking only about your glories and hearing about your transcendental activities. May our hands and other limbs be engaged in your service, and our minds always be concentrated at your lotus feet, and our heads always bowed down before the all-pervading universal form of your lordships. So that's Nalakuvira and Manigriva waking up to being out of the cloud, praying to the Lord, that they understand that life, our nose, our ears, our eyes, everything about this lifetime is made for the glorification of the Lord, is made for hearing and chanting about the Lord. It's made to be living our real life. Our real life is to constantly serve the Lord with love and devotion and glorifying his pastimes. So I'm going to stop here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm going to read the verse again. Ataparam shukshmatamam avyaktam nirvisheshanam anadimu madhya nidanam nityam van manasapaham. Therefore, beyond this gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Therefore, it is beyond the limits of expression or mental speculation and is distinct from the material conception. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Any comment, question about what we discussed today? There is some chat. Hare Krishna. Shama Priya. Share how she had to leave. She's sorry to not be with us. Anyone who would like to discuss anything we read or anything we discuss about the Lord's transcendental position, anything from the purport, anything from the verse?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Joachim.
Yeah, no question. I just, the few things that went from my mind is just how wonderful it is that we have the stories, because it is really hard to have that love that we need to have to manifest for Krishna. The stories really help to try to imagine him as the child and they just every pastime. So I really appreciate them to try to stir up that love that I want to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that really came to me. And yeah, that's it. But thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and I appreciate your comment. Like, yeah, those stories are so wonderful and they really help us. And in the prayer of Queen Kunti, Queen Kunti, she highlights that the Lord came on earth to perform his pastime for us to be able to remember them and chant them and be absorbed in them. So out of his kindness, the Lord is always finding ways to, okay, the material energy, his external energy, through his internal energy comes, he performs his pastime, then he comes as Lord Chaitanya and you have more pastime and more teaching. The Lord is really caring. He's caring so much that he decided for the pleasure of his devotees to come on earth to perform his pastime for us to hear and chant them for eternity. So you appreciate that because you can see how through absorption in the pastime of the Lord, we have an opportunity to churn that love, to churn that intimacy, and to learn to love the Lord through his devotees. Thank you, Kim, for your comment. Very appropriate to what we just read today. Because the Lord is absorbing his pastime. It's not really so much involved in our dramas. Hare Krishna. Damayanti, you were unmuting yourself, I saw.
I just wanted to say thank you for the class, and I've been in and out paying attention and taking care of things. Mostly just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yachandra?
Yeah, I appreciate some of those, comments about, hearing the pastimes and connecting to the pastimes, because I feel they are eternal pastimes. It's not like, well, it happened 5,000 years ago, I missed the boat, so to speak. But by hearing about it now, in a sense, through the hearing process, we are a part of the pastimes. Our energy is a part of the pastime. It's this connection. It's not a separation like, oh yeah, that's interesting, or maybe someday in the future if I live. It's we actually are energetically participating in this eternal pastime just by hearing. So I got that appreciation from the comments that were just made.
By hearing from the proper source, and the souls being active in those pastimes, like Srila Prabhupada, he is active in those pastimes, then we get to be part of them and not separated from them. Yeah, thank you for that comment. Anything else? Thank you, and thank you for being here and listening and participating in this class and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's what life is about. I wish you all a beautiful Kartik day. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Gajendra, you can check your messages on Facebook.